Attention, stations on the network. Our broadcast will begin in 10 minutes from my mark. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That was your 10-minute time check, stations. Attention, stations on the network. Our broadcast will begin in 5 minutes from my mark. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That was your 5-minute time check, stations. Attention, stations on the network. Our broadcast will begin in 2 minutes from my mark. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That was your 2-minute time check, stations. Attention, stations on the network. Our broadcast will begin in 1 minute from my mark. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. That was your 1-minute time check, stations.
On the Hawkeyes Sports Network from Learfield, this is Hawk Talk, presented by View Rooftop Downtown Iowa City. Also brought to you by Bud Light, it's for the fans. Iowa's corn farmers of the Iowa Corn Growers Association and the Iowa Corn Promotion Board. When corn grows Iowa, Iowans win. Brought to you by Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. U.S. Bank, proud to support Iowa football. U.S. Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC. Authentic Brand, unique Hawkeye apparel at authentic-brand.com. And by Iowa Office of Secretary of State. Visit voterready.iowa.gov. Get in the game, be a voter. Now, here is your host, the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to View Rooftop at the Hilton Garden Inn, downtown Iowa City. We're way up top on the 12th floor. We've got a bird's eye view of downtown Iowa City and, of course, the surrounding Johnson County terrain. Now, of course, I hope if you haven't turned your clocks back by now, you've got some issues. It only took me till Monday morning, I think, to figure that one out on my wristwatch. So I couldn't figure out why I was early for everything. But, you know, that's another subject for another night. But so it's dark right now. Darkness has set in, but the lights are twinkling and the holidays are soon to be here. And we're all trying to get over the post-midterm election blues. If you've overdosed on red and blue, we're going to give you a healthy dose of black and gold tonight to pep you up. No talk here about runoffs, projections, or predictions, only sacks, tackles for loss, and 200-yard rushing efforts by freshman running backs. 90 minutes of Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz is underway for another Wednesday. Coach will join us shortly and answer your tweets and your Facebook posts, and the Twitter handle is the same as it always has been, at Gary Dolphin. That's our Twitter handle. We'd love to have your comments and your insight, and we'll pass them along to Coach when he arrives here shortly. Again, on Twitter, at Gary Dolphin. Our Facebook connection is facebook.com/Voice of the Hawkeyes. Week 10 for Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz, and from here on out, it's border rivals and trophy games. And if that doesn't get your blood boiling, I don't know what will. But who better to start with than the Wisconsin Badgers? Both the Hawkeyes and the Badgers are playing their best football. They've each won back-to-back games. Iowa's offense is catching up, getting closer to the defense and special teams. Wisconsin quarterback Graham Mertz has been throwing the ball pinpoint, spot on of late, and he's got that big sophomore running back Braylon Allen to help him out. He posted another 100-yard performance in Wisconsin's win over Maryland last Saturday. He ran for 119 yards and 1 touchdown, and that's his 14th 100-yard game in his last 18 contests. I mean, that is really something. And he's hurt the Hawkeyes off and on in his first couple of years up in Madison. But the Iowa defense, we hope, is up to the task. It has been all season long. Wisconsin's defense is, you know, if you follow this rivalry, the battle for the Heartland Trophy has been vicious, and that starts with their linebackers as well as Iowa's. Junior outside linebacker Nick Herbig is an Associated Press second-team preseason All-America pick. He sits alone at the top of the Big Ten standings with 8 sacks, and 12.5 tackles for loss. He's tied for the national lead, averaging 1 sack per game. Of course, the Hawkeyes have Jack Campbell and Seth Benson, and that ball-hogging secondary that has another tremendous string of consecutive games with an interception going. We'll get into all that if that's your choice tonight. So it is. It's been a close game. Wisconsin's had the better of it the last few, winning those close games, and typically it's come down to turnovers, just like the Purdue rivalry last week. What happened? The Hawks played clean, and the Hawks dominated for the most part, 24-3 in the wind and rain down in West Lafayette. Wisconsin seems to have rebounded from an early season firing or dismissal, call it what you will, of head coach Paul Chryst, which shocked everybody around the Big Ten, certainly, and if not college football. Paul, a class act, and he's won, 60-70% of his games since arriving in Madison after Barry Alvarez gave him the call a few years back. But of course, we don't know all of the inside information or all the insight that went on there and what led to the departure of Coach Christ and fairly new athletic director Chris McIntosh. But that's old news. Jim Leonhard, we know all about Jim Leonhard. He was a defensive coordinator at the time of this disruption, and he has done a phenomenal job, as he's always done, as a player, both in Madison, in Wisconsin, and in the National Football League. And the Badgers have won 3 of 4 since Jim Leonhard became interim coach. Now, the general consensus is he is going to be the permanent guy once the season is over. Wisconsin's beaten Northwestern, Purdue, and Maryland over his first 4 games. The Hawks likewise have beaten Northwestern and Purdue now in back-to-back weeks. So it's all for the Heartland Trophy, and it should be a battle. It's November football. Quarterback Spencer Petras wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, I think for the most part, just our culture, right? We work on practice, and I think where we have an advantage is just the way we practice. You're going to see the cumulative effect of that the longer the season goes. And we've said from the beginning that we're going to be playing our best football in November if we're doing things right. And it's just continuing to work because compound interest is a real thing. People continue to get better and better, and I think we just take pride in November football. It's going to be whatever it is, 30 degrees on Saturday. That's great. That's what you sign up for in the Big Ten, and that's what you love. So. Definitely, it's just an attitude. It's a culture thing.
I love that. That's a kid from the Bay Area. I think their average seasonal temperature this time of year and throughout the winter is around 50 degrees. But he loves it 30 or less, and that's Spencer. I mean, he's a great kid. I'm so happy for him that he's playing his best football right now. You give him a clean pocket like that young offensive line has done the last couple of weeks, and you can see how effective he is. His favorite target, of course, is, and will be going forward, Sam Laporta, who yesterday was named a semifinalist now for the John Mackey Tight End Award, which goes to college football's absolute best tight end. And here at Tight End U, we're used to having guys not only nominated for that trophy, but winning it. Dallas Clark, Noah Fant, most recently. So good luck to Sam going forward. He leads all Big Ten tight ends in receptions and yardage. And, of course, at Iowa, like at Wisconsin, you're always going to look to run the ball first. And what a wonderful sight it was last week to watch freshman Caleb Johnson, by the way, the Big Ten offensive and freshman player of the week, rush for 200 yards on 22 carries at Purdue. Becomes the first Hawkeye since 2015 to reach the 200-yard mark. And the 200 yards are second most by a freshman in school history and 18th most in a single game all time at the University of Iowa. Congratulations to Caleb, soft-spoken young guy from Greg Stokes' hometown, Hamilton, Ohio. And are we going to have fun watching this guy? He had a 75-yard touchdown run on the second play of the third quarter. It was Iowa's longest play of the year. And to my way of thinking, sealed the deal. Even as good as Purdue's offense, as explosive as Purdue's offense is, even at home, mine and Pody's thoughts were there is no way Purdue's going to score 24 points on this defense, on Iowa's defense. And they got 3. So congratulations to Caleb. He really gave Iowa's all 3 phases some breathing room. All right. It is Veterans Day special ceremony this weekend at Kinnick Stadium. It's Veterans Week. And I'm going to stretch it to 7 days because of great Hawkeyes like Nyle Kinnick, like Fred Becker from up Waterloo for the 5 Sullivan brothers. The 80th anniversary of the deaths of the 5 Sullivan brothers from Waterloo is coming up on Monday. They were on the USS Juno when it was torpedoed by the Japanese in the Battle of Guadalcanal. Can you imagine? Nobody can imagine losing 5 brothers from the same family. Nyle Kinnick, of course, you all know his story. It's tragic. What a terrific young man. What a great something he would have been going forward. And Fred Becker, one of the first to die in World War I on the poppy fields of Western Europe. Fred Becker, a Marine who took out a German machine gun nest and therefore saved the lives of many of his comrades, as it is so scripted. So we've got a special interview coming up here after we take our first break tonight. Scott Sipker is the executive producer and creator of Kinnick, the documentary, which is playing to rave reviews, playing to packed audiences in theaters, and to tens of thousands that have seen it streamed online. You too can watch it at YouTube or on YouTube by just Googling Kinnick, the documentary. It's a 90-minute treasure, and we're going to talk with Scott in just a minute. Had a chance to Scott just got back from Japan, of all places, where on this naval base in Japan is Nyle Kinnick High School. Think about that for a minute. Nyle Kinnick, who detested violence and war of any kind, yet thought enough of his country, duty, honor, country, to enlist in the United States Navy. It's also the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Midway, which played prominent in an Iowan's life. And we've got a special interview coming up on Saturday during our coverage, our special Veterans Day coverage of Iowa football. With one of the Navy's finest, Pete Welch, Captain Pete Welch, 32 years in the United States Navy. In fact, he's going to be our military hero the day of the Iowa-Nebraska game over at Kinnick Stadium. Pete spent 32 years in the Navy, 8 of those on a submarine, on a nuclear submarine. He was underwater a lot. Very interesting interview with Pete you'll hear on Saturday. But in a minute, when we return, we're going to listen to Scott Sipker and his trip to Japan and his comments on the reaction of the Japanese students to just who Nyle Kinnick was. They had to do their homework, needless to say. We love being at the View, have all season long, and we hope you've enjoyed our programs from View Rooftop, downtown Iowa City in the Hilton Garden Inn. You can join us every Wednesday for Hawk Talk. Stop by on football Saturdays, too. If you don't plan to go to the game, how about coming to View Rooftop this weekend? It's a unique experience to Iowa City. Immerse yourself in an invigorating environment with comfortable contemporary indoor and outdoor seating, high-definition televisions for watching the game, tailgate specials, and live music. Enjoy the camaraderie and celebrate with a toast at View, V-U-E, View Rooftop at the Hilton Garden Inn in Iowa City. Call for reservations. The phone number is 319-519-4650. 319-519-4650. We're also brought to you by Bud Light. Hawk Talk and Bud Light with Kirk Ferentz, sponsored by Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light, proudly welcoming Hawk fans to Kinnick Stadium this year. Bud Light is for the fans. And U.S. Cellular, America's locally grown wireless and official wireless partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes. Join the national network built by locals for locals. Again, we're on Twitter at Gary Dolphin or on Facebook at facebook.com/voiceofthehawks if you'd like to log in with a question or a comment for Kirk ahead of Iowa, Wisconsin, and the battle for the bowl on Saturday. This is Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz from Learfield.
Hi, welcome to U.S. Cellular, where new and current customers choose any phone they want for free.
Free? Even the one with 5G and lots of storage?
Free.
What about the one that takes incredible pictures?
Free.
And the one with the latest everything?
Free.
How about this giant cardboard phone?
Oh, that stays.
At U.S. Cellular, new and current customers choose any phone they want for free. That's any brand, model, or size. Free for everyone. U.S. Cellular, America's locally grown wireless. Terms apply. See uscellular.com for details.
Running a business is a lot of work. Luckily, I've got a great partner.
Oh, I thank you.
I meant U.S. Bank.
I knew that.
U.S. Bank Business Essentials is a huge help to us.
Totally. Their comprehensive point-of-sale system does it all. Tracks inventory, manages schedules, customizes orders.
Plus all the regular banking stuff.
If only it could make coffee.
Nah, that's your job.
From point of sale to quick loans, we have many ways to make your business boom. That's what U.S. Bank is for. U.S. Bank. We'll get there together. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
After a cancer diagnosis, it's natural to want to start treatment right away. But first, get a second opinion from a team that specializes in your cancer. I'm Dr. George Weiner, Director of University of Iowa Holden Comprehensive Cancer Center. Before you start treatment, you deserve to be confident you have the right diagnosis and know every option available to you. So whether it's with us or somewhere else, get a second opinion. It can change your care and your life.
When you open a crisp, cold Bud Light, you know game day is here.
Touchdown! You owe me $5.
You mean every sound. Enjoy responsibly. 2022 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Introducing new Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda Variety Pack. You hear that? It's seltzer with the pop of soda, all with zero sugar. Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda, the loudest flavors ever. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda, IRC Beers, St. Louis, Missouri.
How do you become America's best-selling brand? Let's break it down. Innovative tech means smarter and safer driving. Intelligent all-wheel drive will keep you ready for anything. And built Ford tough trucks will always get the job done. Plus, come into your local Ford store today and get super low APR financing, big cash back, and great lease offers on Ford's full line of cars, trucks, and SUVs. That's Ford, and that's how you become America's best-selling brand. Sales claim based on calendar year sales.
Draft Day Sports Lounge is the ultimate place to watch the game, have some fun, and show off your golfing skills with Topgolf Swing Suite. Topgolf Swing Suite in Draft Day delivers a one-of-a-kind simulation that's fun for golfers and non-golfers alike. Pair that with Draft Day's live sports viewing, local craft beers, and delicious menu, and you have a winning pair. Riverside Casino and Golf Resort, home of the Draft Day Sports Lounge and Topgolf Swing Suite, just minutes south of Iowa City.
Hawk Talk with Iowa football coach Kirk Ferentz rolls on a Wednesday night. What a day around Iowa City in eastern Iowa. It got up to, my thermometer said 75. Maybe it was cooler or a little bit warmer where you were. But, man, is that going to change in a hurry. Tomorrow looks pretty decent. And then we're going to drop about, 40 degrees for highs on Friday and Saturday. But it is going to be mid-November, and it's a special time of the year when that November chill begins to blow across this beautiful Iowa landscape. I was telling somebody the other day, I think of the incomparable John Facenda, who had one of the great voices of NFL films when he would stare at a cloudy November sky over Lambeau Field in Green Bay. John was from out east, and he described the play calling of Vince Lombardi. And then the graceful running style of Paul Honing and the rumbling of Jimmy Taylor. Of course, that was back when the Packers were winning world championships year after year after year. And if you ever get a chance, just Google NFL films, John Facenda describing the 1967 Ice Bowl between the Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. It was 16 below at kickoff, and the wind chill was minus 50. Now, we don't have to worry about anything like that on Saturday, but you might want to bring a jacket or a sweater because they're expecting a high of around 32. Overnight low Friday around 18 or 19 degrees. But, hey, as Spencer Petras just said, it's November football in Iowa. We also want to remind you, as if I needed to do that, I'm sure you're well aware, that this is Veterans Day. Our Hawks will celebrate Veterans Day and our veterans coming up Saturday. It was originally called Armistice Day, declared by President Woodrow Wilson on November 11th, 1919, to honor those who served during World War I, including the aforementioned great All-American football player Fred Becker from Waterloo, who starred at the University of Iowa. In 1926, President Calvin Coolidge, at the urging of Congress, made Armistice Day a legal holiday. And at the conclusion of World War II, this special day honored all who have served at any time in any place in the defense of the United States. It was renamed Veterans Day in 1954. Another Hawkeye great and the school's only Heisman Trophy winner, of course, is Nyle Kinnick, halfback Nyle Kinnick. He was a Navy ensign pilot who died on a training mission in the Caribbean in World War II. In the South Pacific, where he would have battled. He was about to be shipped to the South Pacific, where he would have battled the Japanese. And today, a high school bearing Kinnick's name sits on a naval base in Japan. Since its release earlier this year, the film Kinnick, the documentary, has played to packed audiences in theaters and tens of thousands of folks who have seen it streaming online. The creator of that documentary and executive producer is Scott Sipker, who just returned from a showing of the documentary to the students at Nyle Kinnick High School, 600 to 700 of them. And he said, frankly, I was somewhat taken aback when he showed the film before a full house and learned that many, perhaps most of the audience, didn't know who Kinnick was.
In 1959, I believe, is when the Navy picked Nyle to be the namesake of the high school there. And so they knew very little. Some knew none at all. And so it was really wonderful to get to share his story and hold people's attention for 90 minutes, which, is hard nowadays, no matter what country you're in. And there were some tears shed at the end, and even by some young kids who came up to me afterwards and told me how touched they were by the film. And it was one of the greatest moments of my life. Not to overstate it, but in my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd have a film that would have its international premiere on a naval base in Japan, and we sold out. We had over 600 people. Incredible. That's the power of Nyle.
Indeed. Nyle Kinnick High School. It sits on the Yokosuka Naval Base in converted Marine barracks and has since 1971. Now, that's about an hour train ride south of Tokyo. So here you have Nyle Kinnick, the war hero, who was killed on a training mission in the Caribbean off the USS Lexington as he was preparing to head to the South Pacific for combat duty, no doubt against the Japanese. The nation's greatest football player in 1939. And, he detested the thought of war, yet he loved his country. He was compelled to serve, but his compassion for the innocent civilians of Europe and Japan was quite clear. And his training and his death was shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor. What's the irony here, Scott, that 80 years later, Ensign Kinnick is revered in Japan?
Well, I think it's just the power. I mean, even for somebody who didn't actually reach the battlefield, so in a technical sense, what he stood for resonates throughout the decades. And I hope that our film shows that clearly. One of the best questions, I've done so many premieres and Q&As, and I'll tell you, Gary, every Q&A that I've done so far, dozens, all of them had to been cut off. Like people, the moderator was like, okay, we have to let people go because the questions just keep coming. And still, though, now the best question I had was from a student now at Kinnick High School who stood up and asked the question and said, I was wondering if you think that this high school should change its motto to Excelsior, because that's Nyle, the Kinnick family. And in the film, Excelsior is our theme. We have a poem from Nile's grandfather that he gave him upon graduation, Excelsior. And he rewrites it a little bit here and there. But the fact that a young high school student was able to pick up on that and be inspired and think, I think our high school should have the motto of Excelsior because of Nyle. That to me is, it was just a wonderful moment.
Talk about striking nerves, not just a nerve. And it's interesting you bring that up because the guiding principles at Nyle Kinnick High School spell fire, fortitude, integrity, responsibility, and enterprising spirit. Enterprising is pretty close to Excelsior, but those they all describe Nyle Kinnick to a T.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't know whoever picked that, did that on purpose, or if it's just a coincidence, but the school being there and the naval base that holds Nyle Kinnick High School, and they always say Nyle C. Kinnick. Everybody calls him Nyle C. Kinnick over there. It's the seat of our naval Pacific fleet. I mean, it is the center and most important base that there is in the Pacific for the greatest Navy in the world. And so I think it's very fitting that Nyle Kinnick is the namesake. And hopefully now the students will know that Nyle's story, not just the most famous alumni from Nyle C. Kinnick High School, which is Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker.
One of my favorite parts, the Kinnick family members reliving Nyle's growing up in small town Iowa. In particular, Don Bice, a relative. Adele, one of hundreds of farming communities across Iowa, battling its way out of the Great Depression. And while the Kinnicks were very involved in state politics, they lived a simple lifestyle with family, education, and faith as centerpieces.
Yes, that's the Kinnick way for sure. They would sit around as family, the extended family from Governor Clark to Nile's youngest brother, George. And they would talk about it. And Don Bice, who's Nile's first cousin, the same age as George, he's now 95. He practiced with Nile, catching passes and punts from Nile. They would eat these prodigious breakfasts together. Nile would eat a lot more than the little boys, of course. But it was to have Don there, really there, I think takes our documentary just from not a good documentary, but to a great documentary, if I can be so unhumble. And Don is really, he's just the lifeblood of the piece. And that family is really brought to life by Don. And he also talks about how good the goodies were that the family could make as well.
That was Scott Sipker, who is the executive producer and creator of Kinnick, the documentary, which, by the way, you can see on YouTube. That was part of an interview I did with Scott for this week's Fight for Iowa podcast, which is up on the platform now through HawkeyeSports.com, or all of the university's platforms carry the Fight for Iowa podcast. And how appropriate this week to talk about not only Nyle Kinnick's military service that tragically ended his life at way too young of an age, but also about Nyle Kinnick. Talks about his family, about growing up in Adel. He then went to Omaha. They moved to Omaha out of the Great Depression for economic reasons. And then, of course, later in that interview, we talked about who and what would Nyle Kinnick have been had he lived. And it was really telling to hear Scott Sipker, who's done an incredible amount of research on Nyle and his family, about how prominent he could have been in not only Iowa politics, but national politics. Presidential candidate, U.S. Senator. Listen to the Fight for Iowa podcast this week. You'll certainly enjoy it. And if you miss any part of tonight's show, you can subscribe to the Fight for Iowa podcast feed to get full replays of Hawk Talk, our weekly Fight for Iowa, and Hawkeyes Voice podcasts, exclusive game day content, and more. Head to your favorite podcast app and search for the Fight for Iowa podcast. All right, we're off and running on the first half hour of Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz. We'll come back. Coach will be here shortly to talk about the Purdue win on last Saturday, and, of course, primarily to preview the Wisconsin Badger game coming up. By the way, that's a 2:30 kickoff. I don't know that I mentioned that yet. 2:30 kick on Saturday afternoon at Kinnick, so the temperature should be pretty much at its high point for the day. And so bring a heavy jacket, a heavy coat if you're coming to the game to tailgate or take in the action. Our pregame coverage starts at 12:30 here on the Hawkeye Radio Network. Want to thank Authentic Brand for giving away a $100 gift certificate each week. That goes to either somebody here in the live audience or on Twitter or Facebook for asking that favorite question of ours. We're the judges, of course. Corey Sheets, our producer, and I are the judges of who offered the best insight to tonight's show. You can ask your question for Coach every week by visiting Twitter at Gary Dolphin or on Facebook.com/Voice of the Hawks. Authentic Brand is a proud partner, not only outfitting our broadcast team on game day, but outfitting thousands of fans every day. Gear up for game day and every day in officially licensed Hawkeye apparel and accessories from a great Iowa company in Perry. That's Authentic Brand. Thanks to Clark Fessler and the crew at Authentic Brand. And Hawk fans, when the Iowa Hawkeyes win, you win 2 days after a Hawkeye football victory. Buy one delicious pothole frozen pizza with Quick Rewards and get a second one free at any Quick Star location. Pothole Pizza at Quick Star, proud partner of Hawkeyes football. We're coming back to View Rooftop in downtown Iowa City at the Hilton Garden Inn with Coach Ferentz in just a minute as we get ready for Iowa-Wisconsin Saturday. This is Hawk Talk from Learfield.
Fans, this is Bruce Gerleman, and I own Splash Seafood Bar and Grill. Have you been to Splash lately? Come back downtown and let me spoil you. White linens, fresh flowers, candlelight, award-winning wine lists, professional staff, and best of all, my fresh fish are jetted in from Hawaii every morning. Enjoy my homemade lobsters, Alaskan king crab, fresh oysters from the cold, clear, clean waters of the Pacific Northwest. My favorite is the surf and turf featuring my hand-cut prime steaks and lobster. Splash, a truly special evening of adult indulgence.
Contractors, you're busier than ever this fall, but you've got this with high-quality building materials from Spahn & Rose, like GAF. Use the Spahn & Rose Visualizer to plan the perfect roof and blend an elegant architectural look with exceptional performance. GAF, we protect what matters the most. With several Spahn & Rose locations nearby, you can focus on life's other important things this fall. Spahn & Rose, buy easier, build better.
When you open a crisp, cold Bud Light, you know game day is here.
You owe me $5.
We mean every sound. Enjoy responsibly. 2022 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Introducing new Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda Variety Pack. You hear that? It's seltzer with the pop of soda, all with zero sugar. Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda, the loudest flavors ever. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda, IRC Beers, St. Louis, Missouri.
You did it, Iowa! You've won more than $20 million in jackpots this year from Wild Rose Casino and Hotel. And we're not stopping anytime soon. Winning is more fun at Wild Rose. From jackpots to cars to cash and more. We've got 20 million reasons and more why you'd rather be here. Wild Rose Casino and Hotel.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs gambling treatment, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
At Golden Harvest, our best skill is knowing how to listen. From our Gold Series soybean and game-changing corn portfolios to our expert insights housed in the Illuminate digital agronomy platform, everything we offer is an answer to what we've heard from you. This is how we listen.
Copyright 2021 Syngenta. The trademarks or service marks used herein are the property of the Syngenta Group Company. All other trademarks are the property of their respective owners.
Knowing that I can make a difference in my patients' lives keeps me motivated every single day. Hi, I'm Dr. Kanya Ferguson at University of Iowa Healthcare. With academic medicine, we see the toughest cases, so we're always innovating. And we bring the best minds together to collaborate, so there's more brain power focused on you. Because that leads to exceptional care for our patients and our community. See how at uihc.org.
Well, welcome back to Hawk Talk. View Rooftop in downtown Iowa City at the Hilton Garden Inn. We thank the great staff here at the View. Thank you all for coming out tonight, by the way, first and foremost. And thanks to our View wait staff, the bartenders, the waitresses, the waiters. They do a great job each and every night, and they look forward to serving you on Saturday when Iowa takes on Wisconsin at 2:30 at Kinnick Stadium. 3 consecutive border battles, 3 consecutive trophy games. Wisconsin at home, at Minnesota, home to Nebraska on Black Friday. It's going to be a wild finish to the regular season and one we're looking forward to. Before we go any further, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification, station ID break here on the Hawkeye Radio Network. We go around our 55-station network for station identification. This is Hawk Talk from View Rooftop with Kirk Ferentz. Thanks to our flagship stations WHO in Des Moines, WMT in Cedar Rapids, and WOC, where Ronald Reagan got his start over in the Quad Cities, and KXIC right here in Iowa City. A couple of those stations, WOC and WMT, are enjoying their 100th anniversary this year, 100 years old. Tomorrow night we're going to have a little party get-together for WMT out at the Yakshok Inn in the Amana Colonies. If you're in the neighborhood, come on by. Ron Gonder, some of the great names in WMT's immediate past. I'm not here to tell you Ron was there when they signed the station on in 1922. Ron wouldn't appreciate that. But Goose Gonder will be there. Some other names that you'll know. I'll stop by and we'll talk Hawkeyes. We'll talk about the great history of WMT. And I think WHO is 100 years old next year, if I'm not mistaken, either that or 1924. But we're very blessed, my point is, to have not only those 3 or 4 stations I mentioned, but 50-plus stations on the Hawkeye Network who service the Hawkeyes so well year in and year out. Iowa, Wisconsin coming up on Saturday afternoon. And we heard from Spencer Petras a little bit ago. Nico Reganey caught another touchdown pass this past weekend against Purdue. He is healthy. He is so vital to that Iowa passing attack. He explained Wisconsin's defense as best he could. They've been really hard on the Hawkeyes the last couple of years.
I mean, each year you got new guys playing there, but it's the same things they do every single year, and they know what they're good at, and they know where their help is, and they're a very smart team. So we just got to do our things right and do all the little things this week and just continue to grow and get better.
Conversely, the Big Ten's leading tackler, middle linebacker Jack Campbell, observed the Wisconsin offense.
They do things at a high level. They've had a culture and a program now they've built and continued. They're going to be big up front. They're going to like to run the ball. Talented at all offensive positions. And again, it's just going to be a battle at the line of scrimmage. So we're not going to run away from it. We're going to take it head on. They probably have the same mindset, so it's going to be an all-out physical battle. And it's just going to be important to play with great effort and just win one-on-one battles. So.
That's Jack Campbell, and what a game Noah Shannon had last weekend. He's a run plugger. He puts his hand in the dirt, and he and Y.A. Black and John Wagner and others who rotate inside and out did a great job in stopping the Purdue run. Noah Shannon says getting pressure on the quarterback is always important.
You know, having fresh bodies out there to rush the passer, but I believe it starts in practice. I think we just pick things up and, you know, we're more focused on our fundamentals and not really letting the quarterback sit back there and be too comfortable when he's throwing the ball, and also just, you know, staying home on our pass rush lanes and not letting them scramble around and run around and extend the play. And I know it's really hard for our guys on the back seven to keep up with guys when you don't really know where they're going to go when the quarterback's running around scrambling. So,
boy, is he having a knockout year. One of those great upperclassmen, Noah Shannon, and he said, you know, this will be his, third, fourth, fifth game against Wisconsin. He said it's never easy against the Badgers.
I feel like every year the battle's always one up front. So whoever dominates the line of scrimmage, I feel like is going to come out victorious Saturday. So this is like one of the funnest games for me personally, because I know like every year Wisconsin has like one of the top O-lines in the country. So it's always fun. You know, you get to go out there and really test and see where you are from a defensive lineman standpoint. So.
Got to love his attitude. Coach Ferentz has joined us now. I don't know what's fun about running into a Wisconsin offensive line, but he seems to enjoy it, and that's all that matters.
You know, you got to be a little different to be a defensive lineman for sure. So
true.
That's just part of the deal. But Noah's done a great job. He's had a great career and tremendous young man. Just a really hard worker, good team member, and I can't say enough about the way he's playing this year.
5 tackles on Saturday, but of course that doesn't begin to speak or describe his performance. He's in there to stop the run, and you know Purdue. We know how they throw the football. The last thing you want to do is let them get out of the gate and run the ball. And they've been running the ball very well this year, and that Hawkeye interior shut them down.
Yeah, that certainly had our attention going into the football game. You think of them being a pass offense, and they do like to throw it. There's no question, and throw it really well. But, yeah, they've been a very effective running. Even more impressive, the back that they played, Maccabee, I believe his name is, who's a walk-on. What a story that is. But, man, I'll tell you, he's a hard runner. So that was part of our hopes, our goals were to be able to limit their run game a little bit and make them throw, as odd as that may sound. But, you know, if you let them play two-dimensionally, it's really tough to stop them. It's tough anyway.
And the proof's in the pudding. You got 2 interceptions. Now the win certainly was a factor, but for both sides, as you like to say. But Kayvon Merriweather, Seth Benson took one right off the tops of the real grass blades. And Kayvon playing center field. Again, that secondary continues to have a tremendous run of interceptions in consecutive games.
They really have. They've been good for quite some time now. Get the takeaway department, and that really just helps so much to winning football games if you can secure the ball on your side and then get those takeaways. That's a big deal. And, I think it was just representative of our defense, the way they've been playing this year. Started with Noah. I heard Jack was being interviewed when I walked in, and a lot of good veteran players on the defensive side. Yeah, and they've, we talk about balance on offense, but I think we've had it on defense too. Sometimes the pressure on the quarterback's a result of great coverage, so it gives our guys a little bit more time to get there up front. And then other times they just do a good job of beating their man and, maybe getting us out of trouble where coverage isn't that good, that type of thing. So that's been pretty consistent all season long. We're going to need it again Saturday.
And to hold Purdue to 3 points, that's really an accomplishment. Iowa's defense has allowed 3 or fewer points in 3 games this season, the most since 2019. Hawks have a 14-point scoring average against. That's 5th nationally. And they held Purdue without a touchdown for the first time in 62 games. Now, Ed Podolak asked you on the postgame show if you were going to drive Phil Parker home, be his limo driver Saturday night. And you said, well, I will if he asks me. But
yeah, he didn't ask. And but I'm pretty sure Sandy did, his wife. And they've had a tradition of, driving back. Sandy goes to a lot of the games, away games. So if she drives, they typically ride back together. And I think that's really nice. And
that's great.
That's something I've always, I'm not going to say encourage the coaches to do, but if they have that opportunity, why wouldn't they? It's just, we don't get to see our wives a lot during this time of year. So they had 5 hours of togetherness on Saturday, and he was smiling on Sunday, so it must have been a good ride.
I can't see you and Mary driving back 5 hours from West Lafayette. I mean, I can, but I can't. So.
Yeah, first you'd have to get her to go to the game, and that'd be the first.
Well, get her
step.
to drive.
Oh, well, yeah, that too. But
well, unless she had the grandbabies with her, or at least a few of them, that you might be able to convince her. But that's good stuff. And the defense is such a reflection of Phil Parker, as they were Norm Parker. Phil. Fiery, but the defense kind of plays with a fiery flair, but they keep it internally. They just go out and do their business.
They do. They're all business on the field, and they practice well, and that's where good things start. So that's kind of been a tradition. Our guys really practice well. It's not good to be on the scout offense, I can tell you that, and it was that way in the 80s as well. So that's kind of just the way it goes, and then they carry it out there. But, again, the thing I would really emphasize with this team, especially, we've got really good veteran leadership, and it's not just one position. It's all 3 levels: linebackers, D-line, and then the back end. And when you get that kind of thing going, it's pretty good. You think about Kayvon and Riley Moss, 2 very veteran guys in the back end, and then you get 2 young guys with Quinn and obviously Cooper DeJean. So having those older guys just in every meeting room, that means a lot. Our linebacker room, we got good veteran players there, and same thing up front, Noah. You think about, some of the guys that we got up there too. So, John, just a lot of really good guys that set the tempo and show guys how to do things.
I was talking about that a couple of weeks ago, Coach. You do a double take because you're so enamored with the way they, Riley Moss and Jack Campbell and Seth Benson play and have played. But I counted up the seniors. We talked about this on the pregame show a couple of weeks ago. I'm just going to do a quick count here. Riley, Kayvon, I'm talking about the starters. Terry Roberts would be starting, so we'd count him as a senior. Jack Campbell, Seth Benson, that's 5. Noah Shannon, Joe Evans, John White, that's 8. That's just unheard of in college football, that on either side of the football you would have 8 seniors, because so many guys leave early or they hit the transfer portal. I mean, it's a real credit to the Iowa program.
Yeah, it's a real edge for us, and then you factor in guys like Logan Lee, who's played a lot of football, Justin Jacobs. I'm leaving guys out, but we've got some younger guys that have played a lot of football, and so they just.
Quinn Schulte's a junior, and he seemingly has been around more than that.
And he just does things so quietly, but very well, very quietly. So that's a good thing. And so it really helps Logan Klemps, the senior, on top of it. Good special teams guys. So yeah, we've been fortunate that way, and it just helps the other guys, I think, feel a bit more comfortable out on the field.
You mentioned the 80s. We lost the great Bill Brazier this past week, the architect of all of those great Hayden Fry defenses for 17 years until he retired in 1995. Bill lived a great life, a long life at 93. He and Ann loved Iowa City so much they made their home here, and the old Texan really enjoyed it, and we'd see him at the Garden Club on Fridays and obviously at games. You were just a young pup when you were here when Bill was a defensive coordinator on your first tour, and what a gentleman. He reminds me a lot of Carl Jackson and some of the original coaches on Hayden's staff.
Well, I'm sitting here smiling when you talk about Bill staying here, because if there were two guys that hated the cold weather, it was Carl Jackson and Bill Brazier back in the 80s. You know, they were so glad that indoor facility got built. And then Carl obviously has retired back to Houston, but Bill and Ann chose to stay here. Part of the community. Ann was a teacher, an outstanding teacher at City High. So I think that, you know, they really grew their roots here. But my initial thought is, you know, there's probably 1,000 things. I had no clue how fortunate I was when I got here in '81. And one of the ones at the top was to as a young coach, to be exposed to somebody like Bill Brazier. You think about Bill Brazier, Bill Snyder being our two coordinators, but Bill's one of the best defensive coaches I've ever been around, and I've been around some really good coaches in my career. I had the pleasure of working with people that are, you know, unbelievably good, and Bill is right there with anybody. So understated, and then, you know, just knew how to act. Like, he was the ultimate professional. Had fun and all that, but it was just it was done in a way that was really good and very important for a young, impressionable person. And feel really lucky just to have that kind of exposure to a guy like Bill. And I don't want to speak for Bob Stoops, so I think if you called Bob today, right now, he would tell you nobody's influenced his thinking as far as defensive football more than Bill Brazier. And Bob, as you know, is an outstanding defensive coach, and I think he'd go beyond that too and just say, you know, what a mentor as well. So it's for sure. There would be a long line of people who would say that. Bill's just an unbelievable guy.
I found it ironic that Bill Brazier was a great defensive back at North Texas. Phil Parker was an all-Big Ten defensive back at Michigan State, and we know how good Bob Stoops was in that secondary. So if you're going to hire a defensive coordinator, although Norm Parker wouldn't like to hear that, but you might want to look at a defensive back first before you branch out.
It's not all bad. No, it's the last line of defense right there.
It sure is. Those guys, they're in panic mode, which is a good kind of panic mode, because their head's on a swivel. They're looking at everything. And if I've heard it from one head coach in our pregame coverage this year, I've heard it from every one of them. When you ask them about Iowa's secondary, they will ultimately either start out by saying or get around to saying their eyes are always moving. And they're always on the quarterback first. And they read the quarterback, and then they know exactly what's going on. I think that's the ultimate compliment.
Yeah, you know, I think part of that stems from, and I always felt like Bob Stoops and Phil were similar as players, you know, being on the sidelines, watching both of them. And the one thing I can tell you about Phil, like, you know, he doesn't miss anything. Like, he just doesn't miss details. Studied at it really hard. He wasn't the biggest, fastest, all that when he played, but he's a 3-time All-Big Ten player. You don't look into that. And
no,
I know he's a player that had great determination, great desire, great toughness, but he also is a student, and that carries over to the coaching aspect. And yeah, it's one thing for a coach to believe in all that stuff, but the more important thing is he gets his players to understand the value of it. And you know, any player, when they figure out, like, hey, this is going to help you perform better, then they start getting excited about it typically if they can, you know, see the connection.
They buy into it.
Yep,
indeed. All right, we'll take a break, come back with all your Twitter and Facebook posts. You can reach us on Twitter at Gary Dolphin or on Facebook at facebook.com/Voice of the Hawks. Thanks to all of our military veterans who are tuned in or are here tonight. We appreciate your support not only of the Hawkeyes but of your country. And Kirk will have his Club Car Wash keys to the game. How to beat the Badgers on Saturday at 2:30 kickoff at Kinnick. We'll talk more about that in just a minute on Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz from Learfield.
We all love a good win. Catching up with friends, saving money at the pump, soaking up the perfect Iowa day, sitting down to a really, really good meal. These are the everyday delights that make us smile. These are the moments that connect us all as Iowans. And these are the wins that, more often than not, start with Iowa's farm families and the crop they're growing. Because when corn grows Iowa, Iowans win. Learn more about how to share your own wins at iowacorn.org/IowansWin.
After a cancer diagnosis, it's natural to want to start treatment right away. But first, get a second opinion from a team that specializes in your cancer. I'm Dr. George Weiner, Director of University of Iowa Holden Comprehensive Cancer Center. Before you start treatment, You deserve to be confident you have the right diagnosis and know every option available to you. So whether it's with us or somewhere else, get a second opinion. It can change your care and your life.
Oh, you know that old injury of yours, the one in your knee or maybe back? Instead of going to the doctor and then doing physical therapy, why not start with therapy first? Athletico Physical Therapy is changing the whole healing process around. Their physical therapists will find the source of your pain and help fix it. Start with them and start living pain-free. Just like that.
It all starts with Athletico Physical Therapy. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com. No prescription needed. Proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
How do you become America's best-selling brand? Let's break it down. Innovative tech means smarter and safer driving. Intelligent all-wheel drive will keep you ready for anything. And built Ford tough trucks will always get the job done. Plus, come into your local Ford store today and get super low APR financing, big cash back, and great lease offers on Ford's full line of cars, trucks, and SUVs. That's Ford, and that's how you become America's best-selling brand. Sales claim based on calendar year sales.
You probably know that a natural gas leak smells like rotten eggs, but what does a gas leak look or sound like? If you hear a whooshing or hissing sound, see dirt, dust, or water spraying from an area, or you get dizzy or queasy, leave the area immediately, then call 1-800-595-5325 once you're safely away. See MidAmericanEnergy.com for more safety tips.
Paid for by the customers of Mid-American Energy.
Hawkeye fans offering expertly crafted and incredibly comfortable Hawkeye gear, Authentic Brand Apparel has me looking my best on game day and every day. Shop the premium selection of outerwear, hoodies, hats, and more at authentic-brand.com. Save 15% instantly with coupon code Hawkeye Radio. That's all one word, Hawkeye Radio at authentic-brand.com.
Hawk Talk with Iowa football coach Kirk Ferentz rolls along tonight from View Rooftop. Thank you all for coming out tonight. On Wednesday, we're here each and every week. Our Hawk Talk with the coach will be next Tuesday, not Wednesday. So put that in your important book. Log it in as Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz next Tuesday night. The Hawkeyes play at Seton Hall in basketball on Wednesday. So that will occupy the airwaves Wednesday night. And it's that crazy time of the year, football and basketball overlapping. But you can hear all the latest on Iowa football Tuesday night here on the Hawkeye Radio Network. Let's go to Twitter for Coach Ferentz. Twitter at Gary Dolphin. Right off the top, Coach, Jerry wants to know, can you give us an update on Greg Morris? Of course, if you missed it, Greg Morris, who's been Iowa's longtime equipment manager and director, was seriously injured in an automobile accident close to a month ago, but Greg's such a great representative of the university in Hawkeye football. How's he doing?
Doing better. It actually happened the Friday of our bye week. I remember getting a phone call about that. So very fortunate. You know, it could always have been worse, and but it nailed him pretty good. And you know, he's got some upper body trauma, just real soreness, and he was in 2 Fridays ago and didn't look so good, quite frankly. Just looked like a guy had been through a lot. Saw him last week and looked a million times better, and he's been in work this week every day. So we're all trying to encourage him just to slow it down.
Well, that's part of his problem. He pushes the envelope.
It is, yeah. And he's got plenty of help, and everything's still going to be there. Everything's still going to work. So, but no, Greg's doing great. Really happy to say that, and in great spirits. And it killed him. He missed, I think, 2 games, and that just literally killed him. He hasn't missed many games over the last, probably 30, 40 years. Yeah,
first one he said he was missing in north of 25 years.
Okay, yep.
That's quite a streak for Greg. But Lynn, who is a lifesaver herself as a nurse, and their son, the great linebacker James Morris, might have to get James to sit on Greg and keep him at home. But he is a bundle of energy. So, Greg, we're thinking about you. Thanks for the question, Jerry. Eugene on Twitter, does the fact that Iowa and Wisconsin play the same style of football help in your preparation?
Yeah, I don't know if it helps, but it's a good question, interesting question. Yeah, one thing, it's a little bit unique about this game, and it's going to sound funny me saying this just in light of what took place this year, but there's just a lot of familiarity, I guess, between the programs, and over the long haul, they've had changes with coaches, but pretty much their style of play has been pretty consistent, and so philosophically they haven't changed an awful lot in 20 years, and they probably say the same thing about us. And so the one thing about it, you know what you're getting when you go up against these guys, and a couple things I can mention right off the bat. It's going to be physical. They're going to be very well coached, very disciplined, very fundamentally sound. And if you're going to beat Wisconsin, you got to beat them. Like, they're not going to hand it to you. They're not going to give you a gift. If you're waiting for that, you might as well try Powerball or one of those deals. So it's just you got to be ready to go. So I think the fact that we do play similar type maybe help, but their schemes are a little different than ours. Like, we're similar in philosophy but different in scheme, if that makes any sense.
It does, and since you like Eugene's question and insight, Eugene is our pick for the Authentic Brand Hawk Talk Show winner for a question.
I don't want to get everybody else mad at me. Because,
no, that's right. We've got other things to give away.
Okay.
We got a few weeks left, no problem.
All right.
Don't worry about your reputation. Okay. I like your insight. So Eugene says the fact that Iowa and Wisconsin play the same type of football, does it help in preparation? Eugene wins our $100 gift certificate from Authentic Brand tonight. Authentic Brand, tonight's winning question goes to Eugene. Thank you, Eugene, and thanks to Authentic Brand for the $100 gift certificate, which goes out to a lucky Hawkeye fan each week. Now, Cody on Twitter, Coach, what, if any, differences does Wisconsin feature now that Jim Leonhard has taken over as head coach? Jim's a defensive guy, but I believe he retained most of the offensive coaches for now.
Yeah, basically they look the same, and I think, I don't want to speak for everybody, I think it'd be really hard to change your package majorly, during the course of a season. You might emphasize a little bit more run, a little more pass than you did previously, something like that. But as far as your personnel, they are kind of what they are, and they are who they are. And, their seasons kind of matched ours a little bit, or paralleled ours in some ways, and that we've both gone through some disappointments, but we're both, coming off 2 straight wins right now, and they've been very, very impressive on film their last 2 games out. They had a bye week in between, and then, I think we're starting to play a little bit better football too. So, it should be a really, really, tough matchup on Saturday.
One thing about Jim Leonhard, not only could he play defense, but he certainly knows how to coach defense. This Badger defense has been hard on everybody, but the Iowa-Wisconsin series has been usually a knockdown, drag-out, physical, I don't know if low scoring is the term, but they've got another great linebacker in Nick Herbig. He's a preseason All-America pick this year, and he's number 1 in the Big Ten, 8 sacks and 12.5 tackles for loss. So you better ID him on Saturday.
Yeah, you got to know where he is, and it's not hard to find him. He's out there, so that won't be the issue. Blocking him's a little bit different. And he's like a lot of good players, he can do more than one thing. So he can rush the quarterback with some power, but he's also very slippery, very, very tough to. You think you got him, and the next thing you know, he's got an edge on you, that type of thing. So he's just a really crafty, smart, very productive player. And, they always seem to have a guy or 2 guys, especially at that outside linebacker position, that really play well. I remember the kid Schobert, who's, I think, with Cleveland right now, and he was a walk-on. Like Coach Leonhard, he was a walk-on, and, boy, I'll tell you, he's one of the better ones we've seen in the last decade, 2 decades. Just a really good football player. So they always seem to have a guy or 2 that are difficult to block, and this group's no different.
Safety John Torchio, also a senior, tied for the lead, national lead with 5 interceptions. He had a pick 6 against Purdue, and he's been hanging out in that secondary for a long time, kind of like Riley Moss.
Yeah, he's played a lot. They had 2 really good safeties last year. They're both gone, but he played a lot. They play 5 DBs, 6 DBs at times, and just a very active guy. And he can play down in the box. He can also play back in the back end, and very effective in both ways. So, a very impressive guy. I think he's from California, and good football player, and looks like one of their leaders.
Lafayette, California, is where John Torchio is from, and they're salty and veteran in the back end. Really, throughout their defense, they're second in the country, 15 interceptions. Very Iowa-like. The Hawks have a heck of a streak going in at least one interception per game. But they, like Phil Parker, the Badgers are a reflection of their head coach.
They are. It's been interesting. When Barry Alvarez went there in '89, '90, he kind of laid the blueprint for him, and they've been. A team that runs the ball pretty well. They believe in possession, ball control, ball security. And then the other thing, and this is true, I think, with any good teams that win a lot and on a regular basis, they play good defense. And to me, that's been the interesting part since we've been back. They're a four-man line. Barry's yours and Brett's yours. When Coach Anderson went there, they switched over to a three-man front. And did very well with that and made the transition really easily. Very surprising how quickly they did it and how well they did it. And then, that staff departed, but they've stayed with that three-man line. And Coach Leonard's coaching it to perfection. They've been really good for as long as he's been there.
Yeah, the best of the front guys, Keanu Benton, another senior. He's from Janesville. And Isaiah Mullins, a senior from, of all places, Columbus, Ohio. Those two have really revved up their RPMs the last couple of weeks. Offensively, they've gotten the passing game going now in their back-to-back victories. Kirk, that tells me that their offensive line, like Iowa, struggled early in the season, but they're obviously blocking well now for Graham Mertz. Yeah,
they've settled down, certainly, and the quarterback's a good player. They've got good receivers, a couple good tight ends, but, the line play is they were in flux a little bit. We saw them a couple of films, early in the season, and but they look like the Wisconsin lines you'd expect right now. And the guy who did a great job coaching the line of Bob Bostad, is back coaching that position now. The guy he switched back over in the out of season and was coaching their linebackers. He's an excellent coach. So it looks like he's got him playing the way he likes.
Braylon Allen, there isn't much you can say about him other than he's big and he knows where the end zone is.
He's awfully good, and second-year player and just a really impressive young man.
235-pound, 6'2" running back. That'll be some battle between he and the Hawkeyes' Caleb Johnson coming up on Saturday. We'll talk about Caleb and other Hawkeyes when we come back, but for now, those are the Club Car Wash keys to the game. And you've heard it right from the horse's mouth, Coach Kirk Ferentz. Sponsored by the official car wash of the Iowa Hawkeyes, Club Car Wash. With unlimited membership starting at just $20 a month, there's no better time to join the club. Visit clubcarwash.com and find a location near you. Hawk Talk is sponsored by Iowa Corn. When corn grows Iowa, Iowans win. Take a closer look and you'll discover the many connections you have to corn. And those connections translate into victories for farmers and wins for all Iowans. Share your winning moments using hashtag Iowans win. I noticed on the drive in today, most of those corn and soybean fields are shaved right down to the beautiful black soil of Iowa. A few stalks still standing, but they'll get clipped here in the next couple of weeks. Watch out for our Iowa farmers as they travel the primary and secondary roads, moving from field to the farm and back. Give them a break, literally, as they say. More Hawk Talk from View Rooftop with Coach Ferentz coming up next on Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz from Learfield.
When you open a crisp, cold Bud Light, you know game day is here.
You owe me $5.
We mean every sound. Enjoy responsibly. 2022 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Introducing new Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda Variety Pack. You hear that? It's seltzer with the pop of soda, all with zero sugar. Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda, the loudest flavors ever. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda, IRC Beers, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hi, welcome to US Cellular, where new and current customers choose any phone they want for free.
Free? Even the one with 5G and lots of storage?
Free.
What about the one that takes incredible pictures?
Free.
And the one with the latest everything?
Free.
How about this giant cardboard phone?
Oh, that stays.
At US Cellular, new and current customers choose any phone they want for free. That's any brand, model, or size. Free for everyone. US Cellular, America's locally grown wireless. Terms apply. See uscellular.com for details.
Hi, this is Hawkeye coach Kirk Ferentz. My players know that determination and strong will can lead to endless possibilities. For years, Iowa farmers have believed in that too. Farmers are the backbone of this country, and their dedication to bringing us food and energy has never been more important. That's why we're proud to wear the America Needs Farmers logo on our helmet. Join the Hawkeyes as we celebrate America's farmers. To learn more about ANF and pick up some great ANF merchandise, visit americaneedsfarmers.org.
Running a business is a lot of work. Luckily, I've got a great partner.
Oh, I thank you.
I meant U.S. Bank.
I knew that.
U.S. Bank Business Essentials is a huge help to us.
Totally. Their comprehensive point-of-sale system does it all. Tracks inventory, manages schedules, customizes orders.
Plus, all the regular banking stuff.
If only it could make coffee.
Nah, that's your job.
From point of sale to quick loans, we have many ways to make your business boom. That's what U.S. Bank is for. U.S. Bank. We'll get there together. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
At MidAmerican Energy, we want to help keep you safe around power lines and electrical equipment. Always assume a power line is energized, even if it's on the ground. To avoid the risk of an accidental shock or electrocution, avoid touching a power line with anything. And when you see high voltage warnings on transformers and substations, stay away. We care about you and your safety. Get more tips at midamericanenergy.com.
Paid for by the customers of MidAmerican Energy.
Get a Hy-Vee Plus Premium membership for just $99 a year and get fuel savings every time you shop in-store and online. Plus, exclusive deals and offers every month. Plus, free standard delivery and free express pickup. With Hy-Vee Plus, our plus equals more. For a limited time, get $50 off an annual Hy-Vee Plus membership with code SAVEBIG. That's right, get $50 off a Hy-Vee Plus membership with code SAVEBIG.
Gary Dolphin with head football coach Kirk Ferentz. Welcome back to Hawk Talk from Iowa City and View Rooftop. A high-energy rooftop bar with spectacular views of downtown Iowa City right off of Clinton Street. View Rooftop located on the 12th floor of the Hilton Garden Inn. Features a distinctly modern escape filled with a unique outdoor design. Open all day on Hawkeye football game days. And they've got tailgate specials for you. View Rooftop provides a memorable experience of food, music, and fantastic views of the Iowa City skyline. Here's the phone number to set up your View Rooftop reservation. Come on down if you're not heading to Kinnick this Saturday. To call 319-519-4650. 319-519-4650. They'll set up a good table right in front of the flat screen here for Iowa and the Badgers this Saturday. 12:30 for the pregame show and 2:30 for the kickoff. Let's go to Facebook. Kirk Nolan, how important is winning the toolbox on Friday night to start the weekend off right? Now, as you know, and if our listeners don't know, this is a student manager's game, and it can get vicious and physical. No pads, no helmets, but they get out there and it's tackle football for their trophy, which is the toolbox. And I think our student managers have won it the last 2 years.
Yeah, they're on a little bit of a roll. We had a bad spell there for a while, but they're doing better, certainly, and it's important to them. Full disclosure, it's got nothing to do with Saturday's game, but the rest of the story is this: that it's important. You know, we all want those guys to do well, and it's a big deal to the student managers. And give me an opportunity here just to say a couple of words about them. I'll tell you, if you were hiring somebody in the private sector, I would hire one of our student managers because, man, these guys work unbelievably hard. And they do it because they love football. Most of them played high school football and want to stay with the program, stay with the game, that type of deal. And I can't say enough about how hard they work, the quality of job they do, and it's really impressive. So, and they're great young guys, just really great young guys, and they're going to school full time just like everybody else. But a lot of the things we take for granted, they're all in place because these guys do the work. And last Saturday is a good example. We get back and we all, get off the bus and get in our cars and go home and, have a nice night. And these guys are here unpacking everything and making sure everything's ready to go on Sunday morning because we start early and, everything's all back in place the way it should be. So they do a lot of things behind the scenes, and they're really, unsung heroes in a lot of ways.
Boy, they are, from loading and unloading the luggage and the equipment. And I'm not just talking about the truck. The Hawkeye truck that drives to the games, the equipment folks, but on and off the buses and the planes when they deliver us to the hotel, and to your point, back home, they're always running. They're first off the bus, last on. So we thank our student managers. Good luck in the battle of the toolbox. Nolan is a former head manager. We've got a former student manager, Matthew Sancher, here with us tonight. Matthew was in basketball, but this serves the same purpose, certainly. So thanks to all of our student managers. Jane checks in on Facebook. Coach, we all know that the stress of the season takes a toll on coaches, but I'm sure it does on the wives as well. Do you and Mary ever have a chance for date night during the season? Maybe bye week?
No, actually, no. We do. We every Thursday night's our night off, our coach's night off. So, and then if you're lucky enough to either play a normal time, I say normal, either the 11 o'clock or the 2:30, 3 o'clock, all those different kickoff times.
The early afternoon games?
Yeah, any of those, and you're home. You're home at a decent hour, and Saturday's a good example. We played noon Eastern time, and I think I was home by 7:30, something like that. So that's a night off as far as I'm concerned. But Thursday night's our night. We if somebody's not home that night, that's their fault. And coaches all do what they choose to do, whether it's a date or see their kids. A lot of the guys have younger children, and those kids miss their parents too. So
sure,
I think most of our guys are pretty good about that. And I think the real trick, it's not like we're the only guys that work crazy hours. So my mind is, when you realize what it is and do what you got to do. But when you do have time, and we have more time in the out of season, then you just really want to make sure you're spending it with the people that it should be spent with, and not just doing something stupid like golfing and getting frustrated.
I'm going to leave that one alone.
Yeah, well, if I was any good at golf, I'd probably like it, but
I mean,
that's so bad.
Years ago, there's a little inside joke there. Years ago, when Kirk first started, I asked him, Mike Riley, who was a consensus All-American at Iowa, a great player and a great radio broadcaster. Mike and I asked Kirk if he'd like to go out and golf sometime in the off season. He said, I've never played golf. He said, I tried to play golf once. I don't play golf. And so we urged him to, it's a great escape pressure-wise. You get out there in the beautiful golf course and you whack the ball around. And Kirk says, I'll make you guys a deal. The first time I win a national championship, I will take up the game of golf, and I'll become really good at it.
I said that?
You did.
Okay.
You did. Well, you've gotten close a few times, playoffs, but close to the playoffs. But so that day's coming. As soon as the Hawks claim their next national title, you'll see Coach out there in his high knee socks with the
knickers,
with the foot knickers, with the foot joys.
Look like Art Carney or one of those guys.
Caddyshack.
I liked everything about golf. Like, being out there was nice.
Yeah.
It's pretty. I mean, just everything about it, except I was so bad at golf.
Except swinging the club.
Yeah.
Swinging club. Well, it makes you appreciate the Zach Johnsons of the world, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
For sure.
I love watching him. I love watching it. Like, for somebody who's good like Zach, that's awesome.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah.
All right.
Not watching you.
No, you don't want to watch me play. On that note, we'll take a break and come back with more Hawk Talk from View Rooftop here at on Hawk Talk with Coach Ferentz. We're brought to you by Authentic Brand, designed and crafted with an exceptional attention to detail. Authentic Brand is our choice for Hawkeye Game Day apparel. Shop the exclusive selection at authentic-brand.com, where the service is always great, shipping is free. Make Authentic Brand your gear of choice. Back with more Hawk Talk and Kirk Ferentz from Learfield after this.
Contractors, you're busier than ever this fall, but you've got this with high-quality building materials from Spahn & Rose, like GAF. Use the Spahn & Rose Visualizer to plan the perfect roof and blend an elegant architectural look with exceptional performance. GAF, we protect what matters the most. With several Spahn & Rose locations nearby, you can focus on life's other important things this fall. Spahn & Rose, buy easier, build better.
Golden Harvest Gold Series soybeans are bred to win. These 19 varieties have strong agronomics within high-demand trait platforms like Enlist E3 soybeans for superior performance all season long. Gold Series soybeans also out-yielded Astro brand soybeans by an average of 1 bushel per acre in 5,542 comparisons. Grow gold at goldenharvestseeds.com/gold-series.
it, Iowa! You've won more than $20 million in jackpots this year from Wild Rose Casino and Hotel. And we're not stopping anytime soon. Winning is more fun at Wild Rose. From jackpots to cars to cash and more. We've got 20 million reasons and more why you'd rather be here. Wild Rose Casino and Hotel.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs gambling treatment, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Hey Hawkeyes, this is Kirk Ferentz. We've been working hard all year long, just like Iowa's corn farmers do. Because when the Hawkeyes take to the field and Iowa corn farmers take to theirs, Iowans win. You want to support Iowa's corn farmers? It's easy. Buy corn-fed meat, dairy, and eggs. Fill your cup with safe drinking water right from the tap, and fuel your vehicle with clean, renewable, homegrown E15 and unleaded 88. Now who's ready for some Hawkeye football?
Hi, welcome to US Cellular, where new and current customers choose any phone they want for free.
Free? Even the one with 5G and lots of storage?
Free.
What about the one that takes incredible pictures?
Free.
And the one with the latest everything?
Free.
How about this giant cardboard phone?
Oh, that stays.
At US Cellular, new and current customers choose any phone they want for free. That's any brand, model, or size. Free for everyone. US Cellular, America's locally grown wireless. Terms apply. See uscellular.com for details.
At DePaco Credit Union, members are better together through thank yous, a DePaco-only perk that thanks members in cash for saving, borrowing, and planning. This year, participating DePaco members shared nearly $3.7 million. Since 2016, members have shared nearly $24.4 million in thank yous. Be part of the movement. Join the local financial cooperative where members are owners. Visit your nearest DePaco branch or join online at depaco.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Hawk Talk with head football coach Kirk Ferentz, who rolls on from View Rooftop. Got football on my mind. I want to mention tomorrow night the Hawkeye women's basketball team will take on Evansville over at Carver Hawkeye Arena. You'll hear that on most of these Hawkeye Radio Network stations with Rob Brooks and Jamie Cavey Lang. All the best to the Hawkeye field hockey team. With Coach Lisa Salucci. They were awarded a bid to the NCAA tournament this past Monday night, and they'll play Virginia over at Northwestern. That's the regional site. You know, they only invite 16 teams to the field hockey nationals, so this is a pretty select group. I think it's the 9th straight year the Hawks have been invited. So they had another great year, 11-5, 11-6, but they played of their 5 or 6 losses, 4 of them were to top 5. Yep. Of course, the Big Ten is king and queen when it comes to field hockey at the University of Iowa and throughout the league. Penn State, Northwestern, Michigan. It's a tremendous league, the best league top to bottom in the country for field hockey. So hopefully the Hawks, if not the Hawks, somebody from the Big Ten claims that championship.
Oh, I'm sure they'll do really well. They do a great job year in and year out, so we wish them all the best.
Indeed. Let's go back to Facebook for Coach Ferentz. Chris wants to know, would the plays that Hayden Fry called work today? Have you considered using any plays from that time period? Well, you were involved with that time period as a young offensive line coach. Hayden's offense would certainly work today, I would think.
Yeah, football hasn't changed that much, really. I don't think the game itself hasn't, and patterns, concepts, things like that. There's adjustments, tweaks, all that kind of thing, and that's week to week, season to season. But overall, I don't think the game's changed an awful lot. So he would have done just fine right now. There's no question about that, and. It's interesting. I'm thinking right now about like the 46 defense, and that was took the world by storm in '85 with Buddy Ryan. But
the Bears,
that's not like a new concept either. Things just kind of they get recycled and they go around and what have you. So there's really not a lot of new ideas. But Coach Fry's offense would have been fine.
To your point, the same concepts. They just call it something else.
Yeah, name the terminology is different team to team certainly, and then in pro football, I mean it's unbelievable how much similarity there is. One team to another. Then flipping it around, it's a little different in college just because people have different styles and try to fit what they do in their personnel, that type of thing. But yeah, overall, I mean the game's a game, and if you're good in the fundamentals, you have a better chance to win than teams that aren't.
When you have a Jack Tatum or a Bob Sanders, you can pretty much run anything you want, especially on defense.
That helps. Yeah, it definitely helps.
Sure does. We're brought to you tonight by Wellmark. Blue is freedom to choose the doctors you want. Wellmark Blue is affordable with plans to fit your budget because Blue is Medicare Advantage from Wellmark Advantage Health Plans. Get the all-in-one plans with the confidence of being covered by Wellmark. Find the plan right for you at wellmark.com/touchdown. And hopefully you hear and see a lot of touchdowns Saturday. The Hawkeyes in Wisconsin in a 2:30 kickoff, 12:30 pregame coverage here on the Hawkeye Radio Network. Coach Jim is checking in. Hi, Coach. After Saturday's game, Nico made a comment about the training staff contributing to his recovery and evident success. How much do you value them to get the team back where they are today? Thank you, Go Hawks on Iowa. And he talked about Cammie, the head trainer for football, and her staff, and how they were instrumental in getting Nico back on the field.
It's a critical component, I think, of any team. Not just football, but probably any sport. Injuries are part of athletics. These athletes, male and female, they train really hard. It's year-round. And to be good, you just have to really, be really disciplined and work at it. And, you got to push yourself as well. So typically there's going to be some injury along the way, and you hope you can contain that, obviously. But, yeah, the medical training staff is a huge part of, I think, being successful. And I would also add the strength conditioning staff, and hopefully those two people, the departments, work in concert with each other. They have to, or else it's not going to be good. But going back to the original point, yeah, the training staff does a great job. They're unsung heroes also, in my opinion. And not only the physical part, when a player experiences an injury like Nico did, they go through a physical part, the rehab, the recovery, et cetera. But there's also a psychological component, which I would suggest maybe is even stronger and can be more damaging. It's just any athlete's ever been injured where they can't practice with the team and can't compete. You just kind of feel like you're on the outside. There's something about it. It's hard to describe, and you're not. It's not as bad as you think, but you just kind of feel like you've been removed. So there's a lot of lonely hours with the rehab, recovery, and sometimes those are painful, also physically painful. But I think I would suggest that the mental component's even tougher, and they're not, professional psychologists, our training staff, but to be a good trainer, that's part of your job description. You have to really, just help players understand that it's going to be okay, and just, keep working.
Keep planing upwards, indeed. Well, congratulations to Cammie and her staff. They do a great job, and great to see Nico back on the field. Sam Laporta, tight end Sam Laporta today, leads all Big Ten tight ends in catches made. He was named a semifinalist for the John Mackey Award that goes to the best tight end in college football, and Sam continues to play at a high level in his senior year. All right, one more break to get in here before we say goodnight. We'll come back with a couple more questions or comments for Kirk right after this from View Rooftop. Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz from Learfield continues after this.
Time to redo this basement?
Yeah. A home gym, movie theater, model train utopia.
Or yoga studio?
I'm flexible-ish.
Great. I'll just use the U.S. Bank mobile app so we can plan it out.
Which way are you leaning? Setting a savings goal or applying for a home improvement loan?
I say we look at both options, right here in the app.
Budget for a really good home gym. We deserve it.
Noted.
Help for today, planning for tomorrow. That's what U.S. Bank is for. U.S. Bank. We'll get there together. Equal housing lender member FDIC.
When you open a crisp, cold Bud Light, you know game day is here.
You owe me $5.
We mean every sound. Enjoy responsibly. 2022 Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Introducing new Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda Variety Pack. You hear that? It's seltzer with the pop of soda, all with zero sugar. Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda, the loudest flavors ever. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda, IRC Beers, St. Louis, Missouri.
Is your work environment safe? It can be with help from EMC insurance companies. Use our loss control resources for online driver training, tools to avoid slips, trips, and falls, ways to improve workstation ergonomics, techniques for proper lifting, and so much more. Get safety videos and materials for your employees, all at no additional cost. When you insure your business with EMC. Learn more at emcins.com.
Hi, welcome to US Cellular, where new and current customers choose any phone they want for free.
Free? Even the one with 5G and lots of storage?
Free.
What about the one that takes incredible pictures?
Free.
And the one with the latest everything?
Free.
How about this giant cardboard phone?
Oh, that stays.
At US Cellular, new and current customers choose any phone they want for free. That's any brand, model, or size. Free for everyone. US Cellular, America's locally grown wireless. Terms apply. See uscellular.com for details.
Okay, close your eyes and imagine.
Well, unless you're driving.
Yes, imagine you bought a scratch ticket from the Iowa lottery.
Or someone gave you one.
Yes, right. And you scratch, and you've won.
One big.
Yes, in fact, there are 13 holiday games with big cash prizes. And if you don't win, play it again. You can still win up to $100,000 in the VIP club.
But you have to enter and see rules and complete details at ialottery.com/VIP.
Yes. Thank you.
Battle for the Heartland Bowl coming up on Saturday. Iowa, Wisconsin at 2:30 for the kick. Join us at 12:30 for the pregame coverage. After that, just one home game in Nebraska on the day after Thanksgiving, and you can entertain your clients, employees, or friends at that home game in Hawkeye Village, powered by Kubota. Hawkeye Village, located inside Dwayne Banks Field. Visit HawkeyeSports.com for more information. Kirk, just a couple minutes left. Let's work in as many of these as we can. TJ wants to know, is it too late to put a medical red shirt on Keegan Johnson since he's missed half the season?
No, he's definitely eligible to redshirt. He didn't redshirt last year anyway, so
okay.
He's only played in one game, and yeah, that's definitely a possibility.
That's in play. All right. James was commenting about the windy conditions, but warm temperatures last week at Purdue. How does cold weather play into this week's game or any game? What are the components the negatives you have to avoid in a cold weather game?
Yeah, I just think it's getting used to it, and it's interesting. You know, last week, this week. Today was whatever it was, 70-something, and, you know, it's going to be chilly on Saturday. A couple of weeks ago, it was just the opposite. We practiced, I think it was in the high 20s when we were on the field, actually, in the morning, and then warmed up into the, 40s. And then Saturday's game, I guess that would have been Northwestern, was a beautiful day. So this is kind of the opposite flip of it, but we've been out in cold weather already this year, and, yeah, it's getting used to it, so no big deal.
Last one for Coach from Drew. The toughest Wisconsin running back to stop during your tenure. Well, they had a bunch of them. Ron Dane, Melvin Gordon, or Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, yes, yes, and yes.
How do you pick?
You know, all those guys are outstanding players, but the Jonathan Taylor guy, like, whew, man, is he good?
He gone, as the Hawk Harrelson used to say. He gone. Ron Dane, who won the Heisman, he was a combination, like Braylon Allen, big, speed, toughness. They've had a run of great backs up there like Iowa has. But you'd go with Jonathan Taylor. I'd have to say Ron Dane was probably the one. I wasn't down on the field.
I only got one year, Dane. And,
that's true.
And
that was enough.
Oh boy, yeah, he was a load. Just a really tough player.
Indeed. Thanks for the questions from Drew and everybody else, Coach. We're going to close tonight with happy birthday wishes to Bessie Hendricks out in Lake City. That's out near Carroll and Fort Dodge. Bessie Hendricks, born November 7th this week, 1907.
How about that?
She's 115 years old. She's America's oldest known living person, and she became the oldest validated person this past January. And so she's a huge Hawkeye fan, always listens to the games at the assisted living home up there in Lake City, the home of, I'll tell you, Scott Sipker, who put the Kinnick documentary together, lives close by. So happy birthday, Bessie.
Well, so my Aunt Margaret turned 100 a week ago Tuesday, and this should serve as an inspiration to her, so that's outstanding.
We got to get Bessie and Margaret together.
That's awesome.
And happy birthday, Margaret.
Bessie, that's great news, Bessie.
Coach, good luck Saturday against the Badgers.
Thanks, Gary.
We'll see you over there at Kinnick. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Good night from View Rooftop. Hawk Talk with Kirk Ferentz.
On the Hawkeye Sports Network. From Learfield, you've been listening to Hawk Talk, presented by View Rooftop, downtown Iowa City. Also brought to you by Bud Light. It's for the fans. Ford, inviting you to visit your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. U.S. Bank, proud to support Iowa football. U.S. Bank, equal housing lender, member FDIC. U.S. Cellular, the official wireless partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes. And by Iowa Office of Secretary of State. Visit voterready.iowa.gov. Get in the game. Be a voter. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.